Welcome. So whenever we hear the name like Percona XtraDB Cluster, MariaDB Enterprise Cluster or MariaDB Galera Cluster or Galera Cluster for MySQL, basically these are all the variants of the same Galera cluster that Codership company, a company called Codership, that built and about in 2009, I believe. So under the hood, all this Percona XtraDB cluster, MariaDB Galera cluster, or the Galera cluster from the Codership itself, it's called Galera Cluster for MySQL. They all are based on the same replication plugin, and that plugin was actually developed by a company called Codership, and they make the same API calls to the library, the replication library, that is Galera-4 is the latest. Before that it was Galera 3. Okay, so this is very important to understand that. Okay, Galera 4 is the latest version of this component. So whenever you see any of the above cluster, these clustered, you make sure that the clustering solution support the latest version of Galera replication library. As of recording of today, it is the Galera-4. So now you have a choice to pick up any of the distribution, right? For example, if you want to, let's say, create a Galera cluster based on community edition of MySQL, you don't go with the Maria, you don't go with the Percona, you directly go to the cluster galeracluster.com and you pick up the third Galera cluster for MySQL. Okay, this is what we will do first in our first section, in our first assignment. Okay, we will have a generic Galera 4, we will have a generic MySQL community server with the support of WSREP, and then we will install it from our RPMs. Okay, so it really depends on your choice of MySQL distribution. Now if you want to do, instead of MariaDB Galera cluster, you will go to the MariaDB website and then you will download or you will configure the repo to install MariaDB Galera cluster. But under the hood, like I said, that the component is the same. Okay, so like I mentioned, that first section will be, we will go with this third option, and then we will move on to the MariaDB Enterprise or MariaDB Galera cluster, and then we will do with the Percona XtraDB cluster. Okay, so all right, I think that this short information has been useful to you, and let's go ahead and first deploy a generic Galera cluster for MySQL, where we will download both components separately. I mean, components mean Galera 4 replication library as well as the community edition of MySQL with the added component of WSREP. Okay, for this and more, I will see you in the next lesson.